Hi everyone! So it has officially been 1 month since I received all of the plants that I had ordered during the live sales on the Palmstreet app that I had shown you in a previous video. And so I wanted to give you guys an update today on how those plants are doing. Also, for those of you who may not have seen that video, there was a little bit of a hiccup with one of the shipments and one of the plants was missing. It was a wish list plant. I have since received it, so I want to show you guys that plant today. And then I also, just last week I think it was, ordered yet another new plant off of the Palmstreet app. So we're going to be looking at that one too. And I want to take a real quick moment to thank Palmstreet for being the sponsor of today's video and to let you guys know that if you do sign up for the app using the link that I've placed below in the description for you, you will get a $5 credit added to your account that you can put towards your first purchase. Okay guys, so just quick reminder, I did order plants from Plants with Dirt as well as some plants from their friend Matt with the Plant Ward because they did one of their live sales at his place. I did get a plant from Redland Botanicals and I did get a plant from Willow Ivy Botanicals. And I actually want to start today with the updates on the plant that I got from Redland Botanicals because I just can't stop looking at the new leaf. So this is an anthurium and I will flash up real quick the picture from when we were unboxing it so you can see the new leaf that was coming in. It was just a baby leaf, still had that nice reddish color on it, nowhere near hardened off or anything like that yet, but just still absolutely stunning. But I was so excited to see just how big that leaf was going to get in comparison to the previous leaves. And oh my gosh, you guys, look at that. Look at that big, beautiful leaf. Now, I will also say that this hardened off way quicker than I thought it was going to. I think within like maybe max a week and a half from when we unboxed it, this had completely hardened off and turned pretty much completely green, but then it kept getting bigger. I think maybe we're done in terms of increasing in size, but who knows? I can't say for certain, but I feel like we probably are. I hope you guys can see that how iridescent that leaf is, that nice, beautiful velvety leaf. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, just a reminder, this is an Anthurium Dark Crystal Mag by Carla Blackie Eye, and I am just in love with this plant. It is so gorgeous. I do have this in my IKEA cabinet right now, you guys. Honestly, it has not really skipped a beat. Like, it hasn't lost any leaves or anything despite being shipped and put into probably less than ideal conditions because, just a reminder, Redland Botanicals is based in the south of Florida. So yeah, humidity down there better than here, although the last few days here, I've been maintaining like 60 to 65% ambient humidity in my house. But regardless, because this is a velvety leaf plant and velvety leafed anthurium and it was coming from somewhere super high humidity, I wanted to stick it in my cabinet first since it is small enough to fit in there for a while just so it can acclimate. But eventually I want to try to get it acclimated to the ambient humidity in my house if I can. Now I have not repotted it or anything because hopefully you guys can see if the camera will focus. That is some nice super chunky mix in there. I can also tell that it's not like crazy root bound or anything, like you can't see roots or anything. So I don't want to mess with it. It's obviously happy. So I'm just going to leave it in here until it gets to the point where I'm like, ooh, the roots are really getting wrapped around in there and it needs to be repotted because it is definitely a super happy, a super beautiful little plant baby. And I'm so excited to have this plant. Okay, next I want to look at the other anthurium that I got in that order. This one did come from Willow Ivy Botanicals. This is a Anthurium luxurians by Radicans. If I have that backwards, if it's Radicans by Lux, I'll just flash up on screen what it is. Sometimes I mix up which one is first. But this beautiful baby, oh my gosh, I still can't get over this. So this is hands down the largest anthurium I now own. This thing is tough as nails. It has not skipped a beat either from shipping to acclimating in my house, and it's too big to go in the cabinet. So even though it was also coming from Florida, I knew that this one, partially because it's not a velvety leaf plant, but just, I mean, luxurians and radicans are just tough as nails in general, you guys. So a cross of the two should be equally tough as nails. So I didn't worry about it like having an issue being in the ambient humidity in my house. It has done absolutely fine. Now, I did have to get a little bit creative in terms of where I was sequestering some of these plants after they arrived, because obviously I didn't want to just add them straight into my collection because, you know, there could be pests you don't know about. I have not, just for the record, have not found any pests on this baby. I have not found any pests on the one we just looked at. Does not mean I did not find pests on some of the other plants. We will talk about that in a bit. But these have been fine. I haven't seen any signs of anything for a month now, so I'm gonna try to find a new place for this one to live, because what I ended up doing was I took all the plants in my office that are split up between 2 north-facing windows, crammed them all into one window so this one could have a window by itself away from all of the other plants. But honestly, that level of light, I mean, it's not bad. Obviously, the plant's doing fine. It's actually putting out some new leaves, 2 new leaves. One is really starting to push out, so kind of excited to see what that one's going to look like as it emerges and see if it gets like as big as this one or not. But yeah, so it's not like a horrible level of light, but I can tell it's not quite enough because the plant has just leaned itself all the way over this direction so that it could stretch towards the window more. And in case you guys don't know, or at least in my experience, anthuriums like will really stretch for the light. I'm looking at one in my kitchen right now that I will put in here for you that is just reaching like mad, even though it's really right next to both a glass door and windows, right? So you would think it would be enough light, but no, that one stretches big time. So yeah, once I get this somewhere a little bit brighter, it should kind of balance out. I can also do a better job of rotating this to kind of get it to stay a little bit more upright, but I am so happy to have this plant, you guys. It's so big, it is so beautiful. I love the texture on those leaves, and I am just super happy that it is acclimated well to my home without any special attention needed to it. Okay, let me set this one down. All right, I'm gonna go grab some of the plants from Plants with Dirt order, as well as the ones I got from their friend Matt, and we are gonna look at those first, and then I will give you an update regarding the plant that was missing. In case you don't recall, I also got a plant that wasn't one I ordered in that order, so I'll catch you up on all of that. Okay guys, so the plant that was included in that order from Plants with Dirt that was not one I ordered was this Japanese Aurelia. That is the common name for this plant. This is actually a Fatsia japonica, Fatsia japonica, I believe. And yeah, did not order this, but they were kind of like, just keep it. I'm sure it would be more to have me ship it back to them than to just say, hey, keep it. So this is definitely not my vibe of plant, though. Not a bad looking plant at all, you guys. This is a brand new leaf that was coming in when this plant first arrived, and it was tiny. It was about like that big, and now you can see it's nice and big. So this plant is doing absolutely well. And for those of you who didn't catch my last video, I am going to start shipping some of these plants that I have in inventory here in my home direct to you guys. So if anybody is interested in buying this plant, comment down below and let me know, and I will get in touch with you with pricing, cost to ship, etc. Because I mean, it's a beautiful, super healthy plant, but it is just not, it's not my vibe, you guys, but it's doing absolutely fabulously. I have not really seen any signs of any kind of pest issues or anything going on this plant as well. This one I just have had sitting on my dining room table, which is pretty far back from north-facing windows, but seems to be getting enough light to keep it happy. I do feel like it is possibly leaning a little bit towards that light, which is not unexpected, but overall it is doing well. Okay, so let's look at the other plant that's doing well. I feel like I'm kind of leading you into some bad news because I kind of am, but anyways. Okay, this is actually from their friend Matt at the Plant Ward. This is the Dischidia that I got, and I think I incorrectly stated in that last video that this was a numerolera, something of the sort. I think this is actually a I'm gonna butcher this. I'll just flash it up on screen for you. I think I had it a little bit off. I think the numerolera that I was talking about has a slightly rounder shape to the leaves versus these cute little heart-shaped leaves on this plant, but I like both of them equally. But I did state that this was on my wish list. It was actually the numerolera that was on my wish list, but honestly, I would have put this on my wish list too because it's pretty freaking cute as far as I'm concerned. I love the look of these tiny leaves. Once again, this is called Million Hearts, is kind of the common name for it. And there is still a lot of little cotton, the cotton that was wrapped around it is still kind of grabbing things. I keep thinking it has spider mites, you guys, because I'm like, what is that? Why is stuff sticking to it? It looks like it's webbing. It's not, it's just the little bits of cotton that are still just kind of stuck on these little leaves. But yeah, all in all, I've not seen any kind of signs of pests on this. This is in fantabulous soil, by the way. You guys probably can't see it, but it is not a cacti and succulent mix, but it almost looks like it. There's just so much perlite and stuff in there, and it is just fabulous. I will say I have very impressed with Matt's plants and the substrates and everything that they have been in. Now, I haven't really seen a lot of new growth on this one yet. I think is still just kind of acclimating. I did end up hanging this one off of the towel bar in my master bathroom. Like I said, you guys, I was struggling with like where to put some of these plants to like make sure that I wasn't potentially going to be like introducing pests that were unknown to anybody when this plant was shipped, because I don't think, none of these people are going to ship me plants that they know have pests on them, but you know, stuff happens, you guys. But anyways, so yeah, it's been hanging there, which is about a 2, maybe 3 feet away from an east facing window, which it probably wants a little bit more light than that. So I will probably be relocating this here sometime in the near future to a brighter window. But yes, all in all, has done fine. We haven't had any leaf loss or anything like that. It just really hasn't also started growing again or anything yet. Once again, probably because it wants a little bit more light than it's getting. But all in all, looking good. Super happy that I have this. Okay. Let me get into the problematic plants, as it were, before we get into the wish list plant. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to bring them out here. We might have to go look at them in place, you guys, but give me 1 second and we'll see. All right, guys, so the next 2 plants I want to look at that I got from Plants with Dirt are currently in water. One of them, the first one I'm going to show you right here, is the Syngonium red spot tricolor that I got from them. Now, I had mentioned to you guys that I want to add this one in with the one that I already have. It is in leca. So the reason this is in water is because I do want to transition it to leca. And so I wanted to put it in water first so that it can start to develop water roots before I transition it. I will say though, you guys, this plant is looking a little bit less like a Syngonium tricolor to me right now, and a little bit more like just a pink splash or pink Syngonium. So I'm hoping that we're going to get some more green going on here with some of the newer leaves that come in, because, and this one's about to probably die off through this process, because like I said, right now it just looks nothing like, let me grab my other one. Okay guys, so this one is kind of going to the opposite extreme. There's hardly like any pink on this one. There's a little bit on the base of that leaf and this leaf up here, but I kind of am expecting to see a cross between what we're seeing here and what we're seeing here, where it's like all pink. So I don't know, hopefully they'll balance out, or at least when I put them together, it'll be a nice mix of the two. All right, so let's see how the roots are doing here. Okay, we are getting some new growth on the soil roots. So hopefully you guys can see that right there. The ends of those roots are starting to get some new growth. So that's good. I have a hunch that this was probably originally a fresh import, possibly off of a moss pole. So not uncommon to see the existing roots start to just grow more instead of like sloughing off and getting brand new water roots. But I'm gonna have to let this grow a little bit more in water and get a little bit more rooted with water roots before I will want to add it in with that other one. But all in all, it's doing pretty well. I haven't seen any signs of pests or anything on this one. Still a little cotton stuck on this one too, I see. But this one has been living, hopefully you guys can see back here. You see how my windows, I have like a lot of windows in this house that are like a rectangular window at the base, a little bit of wall, and then an arch at the top. So this one has been living in the top of that arch that you see over there, I think. Yes, that is the window. And so it's been living up there. That is, once again, a north-facing window, but that's enough light for it to start to develop roots and everything, and it's far enough away from other plants just in case it had pests, because that brings me to our next plant that I want to look at. All right, I'm going to bring it out. I'm just going to make sure I'm like, keep holding it over here away from where there's other plants. All right, guys, this is the Philodendron SP Columbia that I got from Plants with Dirt. And at the time that we were unboxing it, I didn't notice anything awry on this plant, but shortly after filming that unboxing part for that video, I noticed webbing on this leaf, I believe it was, on this plant, and got my magnifying glass out, then got my microscope out, and wouldn't you know it, this plant had spider mites. So I immediately reached out to Plants with Dirt and was like, hey, just want to let you know, this plant came in with spider mites. And they were super nice about it. They refunded me the cost of this plant, which thankfully was not that much. And so, yeah, they were like, yeah, we're really sorry about that. You feel free to throw it away if you want to, but you guys know me, I hate throwing away plants. And my plan was to also transition this one into leca as well. And it's way easier to get rid of pests when plants aren't in soil, at least in my experience, especially spider mites, than when they are. So I made the decision to remove all of the soil off of this plant once I made that discovery, and put it into water so it can start developing water roots. Of course, I treated all of the leaves after I got all of the soil off and have been doing so repeatedly every week in hopes that I can get rid of the spider mites. I just looked at it pretty closely before I brought it in here. I didn't see any, but you guys, you know, they can hide all down in those little petioles and everything there. So usually I have to go at least like 3 months without seeing any activity of spider mites before I will believe that they are actually gone. But because I knew this one had pests, like I had to figure out where the heck I was gonna put it. And I had company staying with me. So for a while, this was just living in my laundry room window, which is a horrible window for it to be in. There's a solar screen on that window still. It's west facing, so it doesn't really get great light except for a little bit in the afternoon. And then my neighbor's house is 2 stories, so it's obstructing the light. But now that I don't have company, I've put it in one of the north facing windows in one of the spare bedrooms upstairs. And there are no other plants in there, so I don't have to worry about pests spreading anywhere or anything like that. But you guys, when I unpotted this and got all of the dirt off of it, this is actually like quite a few little plants. I don't know if you guys can tell in there, but quite a few little plants growing. It is going to be a nice little bush of a plant. And I did have a ton of the roots slough off recently and I had to remove them. I hadn't lost any leaves prior to that point, but when I removed all of the kind of rotted roots, not rotted, but they look like root rot, but they just died off as part of the process of trying to transition it to growing in water and getting water roots. And so I hadn't lost any leaves, and then I did lose 3 leaves since doing that, but it is starting, I can see, it is starting to get some brand new roots. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that. It's starting to get some brand new roots right up there at the top. So those will be solely water roots. So yeah, it's still got a ways to go living in water first, which is probably good because that will give me time to make sure that all of the pests have vacated the plant before popping it into LECA. But once again, pests don't take hold as easily in LECA because they can't really, I mean, LECA is not like an ideal environment for them to like lay eggs and things like that. So hopefully we can salvage this plant, but if it like keeps becoming a repeat problem, the spider mites keep breaking out again, this plant will probably be going bye-bye, but I hope not because it is a super cute little plant. And look at that, it did push out a new leaf while living in that horrible window in my laundry room. That one right there still hasn't even fully hardened off. So yeah, it's definitely like alive well. We just need to make sure that it's pest-free, let it develop some new water roots, and then hopefully we can pot it up in LECA and it can stay in my collection. But I'm gonna go stash this one away real quick before we get to our next one. All right, you guys, so we're gonna take a look at the wish list plant that was missing from that order next. But before I get to that, a few little quick notes. Pests happen. I don't want anybody to think that like, oh God, I'm never gonna order plants from Plants with Dirt because there were some pests on those plants. Pests happen, spider mites especially, we've been over this. It's hard to see with the naked eye. And so yeah, things are gonna happen. It's really, for me, it's a question of how the seller handles it when it happens. And like I said, Plants with Dirt did refund me the money for that. They did not charge me extra, by the way, to ship the missing plant from that order because obviously it was their mistake that it wasn't in there. And then they actually sent me, you guys, a apology box of additional plants. So in that apology box, there were 3 plants. One I don't actually have anymore because it is a plant that is just not my type of plant. So I immediately just kind of added it after it had acclimated enough, added it to my rare plant inventory, and somebody bought it last week. So that was a Philodendron spiritus sancti. Yes, you heard that right. And no, it's just not my type of plant. Those of you who are like, you didn't keep that, it's just not my type of plant. I'm not a big fan of long boys, honestly. I actually like them in some other people's houses, especially if you have a place to style them well. So like, I have like a staircase right here, but I don't have like it's not like a large, long staircase with like light above it coming natural light or anything like that. But I've seen people who have staircases like that. They hang long boy type plants off of the staircase, off the side of the staircase or the wall in the staircase, and they look fabulous. And so that is like, if I had a place, like a good way to style with those kinds of plants, that's how I would do it. And then maybe I would have them. But for my space right now and the way it's set up, I just don't have a good place to display them naturally versus like, you know, other than like putting them in an IKEA cabinet or something. So yeah, it's just not for me. So that's why I sold that. Now, interestingly enough, the 2 other plants included in that apology box were 2 more of the wish list plant that were missing. So let me just show you the wish list plant first. And just a reminder, the one that I'm going to show you right now, this was actually not from Plants with Dirt. This was from their friend Matt's place. They were giving these away as freebies. I think I had to pay the $5 shipping, and I think maybe it was actually like a 50-cent plant or something. But yeah, this has been on my wish list for a while and it got bumped to the top 10 this year. It is the first time I've had a calathea in the top 10. This is the Calathea fasciata. I think I said that right. Sometimes referred to, I think, as a Calathea, I'll flash it up on screen for you, that, you guys. But yeah, this was on my wish list and I love how nice and round these leaves are, and it gets this thick kind of striping to it, very glossy type leaf, similar-ish to, you know what, it kind of reminds me of like a cross between a Rosa picta medallion calathea and also a Calathea orbifolia. And when these get big, the leaves get really big, kind of like on the orbifolia. So yeah, when I saw this was like the freebie they were giving away, I was like, hell yes, sign me up. And look how gorgeous it is. So I do now have 3 of these, and the other 2, you guys, they are sequestered in the other spare bedroom upstairs, directly in a southern facing window, which if you're like, Calathea, southern facing window, it's got a solar screen on it. That solar screen cuts the amount of light by half. It's probably not the best place to still have them, but I was running out of places to sequester them. And when I was unboxing that apology box, I got all the plants out. I took them to the sink because the 2 Calathea kind of seemed like they probably needed watering. And I was like, oh, I didn't get all the cotton off of one of them. No, it wasn't cotton, you guys. It was a big old fat mealybug. And yeah, I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Nothing worse. And I didn't even reach out and tell them, you guys. I was like, I am not gonna reply to them and be like, by the way, thanks for the apology box because one of my plants had pests and you forgot a plant. And thank you for giving me 2 more of a wish list plant, which was the one you forgot to pack. But you know what? It had mealybugs. I was not going there, all right? Like I said, pests happen, and honestly, I'd rather deal with mealybugs and spider mites any day of the week. I did kill that one just with a little rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip. But yeah, because I don't know if there's more eggs or anything like that, and it was packed in next to, well, I'm guessing that the other Calathea that came with it, because there were 2 of them like this, I'm guessing they were probably together in the greenhouse, right? They were probably on the same shelf. So I was just kind of like, we're going to sequester those ones upstairs until I make sure there are no mealybugs. I have not seen signs of mealybugs since then, but I've only had those ones for about 2.5, maybe almost 3 weeks now. So I want to give it a little bit more time to make sure that there are no mealies. And I haven't fully decided if I want to add those in with this one or if I want to add those to my rare plant inventory or just my plant inventory in general. It's not like that crazy rare of a plant, although I never see them like in person anywhere. But I don't know, you guys, because this one actually looks a little bit slightly different to me. And there are different varieties of this type of Calathea. It didn't specifically say on the tag that came with this one what kind of variety it was, but it just, I don't know, it looks a little bit different. It looks a little bit more like, I don't know, the striping looks a little bit more pronounced. So I don't know, I might keep this one just separate. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, you guys, but I got time anyway because I got to make sure there's no mealies on that one. I have not seen any signs of pests on this one either. Now, as far as acclimating, this has done amazingly well. Usually Calatheas that get shipped, I find, kill off a lot more leaves than this one did. Scooter ate a whole leaf off of this one at one point, though. I was like, really? He figured out how to get up on the dining room table, you guys. He had never done that before. And the first thing he did was eat a leaf off of this plant. At least it's non-toxic. It has since then lost one other leaf, but hopefully you guys can tell, like, there's no crispiness except for maybe on this one oldest leaf down here. And I did not put it in the cabinet or anything. It's been living on the opposite side of my dining room table from where the Aurelia, the Japanese Aurelia is, and doing absolutely great. So I am super happy to have this plant in my collection now. All right, we got one more plant to look at. It is the one that I ended up buying last week from also Willow Ivy Botanicals. And she was nice enough to send me a little freebie plant baby in there as well. So let me go grab those 2. Okay, guys, so back when I got my Rad Lux Anthurium from Willow Ivy Botanicals, in that same live sale, she had shown another Anthurium that I seriously thought about buying, but at the time I was like trying to get as many plants that I wanted as I could with the money that I had instead of just blowing it all on one like more expensive plant, because I wanted to show you guys just more than one plant from a different sellers and everything off of Palmstreet so you guys could get an idea of like what was kind of out there. But I kept thinking about that plant, and it's a plant that I've seen a lot of other planty YouTubers and people on Instagram showing a lot lately, and I was like, man, it just looks so beautiful. Wild Fern has one, it looks gorgeous. And I was just like, man, I really, really wish that I had gotten that. And so then about a week and a half or so ago, I caught another one of her live streams, and I had asked her in the messages, the chat on there, if she still had some, and she did. And it's kind of funny, you guys, because like she had shown one that was like a rehab one, and then she had one that had more leaves and wasn't a rehab one. And so she brought that one up and she put up what the starting bid was, and I typed in my bid, and then she was like, if you guys aren't following her on YouTube, you should go follow her, which is awesome. I love that she gave me the shout out and everything. So then I was like, I gotta go get she's like, post the link for people. So I went and got the link to my channel, was posting it. And throughout all of this, like nobody else had bid on this. And so, you know, I was just chatting back and forth with people and whatnot. And then wouldn't you know it, because I lost focus, I got sniped and somebody last minute outbid me on it. I was like, really? And she's like, oh, you got sniped. I was like, yep, that's what happens when I get distracted. And so I reached out to her afterwards though and said, hey, do you have any more? And she said, you know, I don't. All I have is that rehab one. I was like, I will take that rehab one. So this is an absolutely stunning Anthurium Red Crystal by Luxurians. So you guys, look at this. Got that lovely texture of that Luxurians, but do you see, the camera does it no justice, you guys. Hopefully you can see it's kind of iridescent. It's got like a bluish iridescence to it, and it takes on that slightly like velvety look from the Anthurium Red Crystallinum. And yeah, I am like, it's just one little leaf, you guys. Like I said, it's a rehab, but it's well rooted. I mean, I can tell the roots look good. It is kind of a little bit unstable. I need to give it like a little bit of a support because it is just a little bit floppy. But I mean, it's gonna be fine, you guys, as long as those roots are good, because look, there is a new healthy growth point right there. So it is going to be absolutely fine. I do need to water it after this, but yeah, so beautiful, you guys. I am like so excited about this. Like everybody else I have seen who has mature ones of these, like the leaves are like this big. And so I can't wait for this to get to that size. It is so gorgeous. No signs of pests or anything on this one. And like I said, she sent me a little seedling for free. And this is definitely just a seedling, still in sphagnum moss, just a tiny little Anthurium baby, but I am super excited about this one. So according to the label, this is a Jack of Spades, no, let me start that over. Jack of Clubs by, it said Dream W by Doriaki. So I'm assuming Dream W is Dream Weaver. If she's watching this and I am wrong, comment down below and let me know. But yeah, pretty sure this is a Jack of Clubs by Dreamweaver by Doriaki. So let me find pictures of those plants to flash up here for you, because that's one of the things that's hard about Anthurium, you guys. Like when they're seedlings or even when they're just juvenile plants, like even like this one, honestly. Although this one's not a great example because this is pretty much how this is gonna look. The leaf shape will change a little bit as it gets more mature, but like the coloration and everything's not gonna change. On ones like the Dark Crystal Mag by Carla Blackie, ones like that tend to change more drastically as they mature. But yeah, so sometimes it's hard to say. You're like, well, what's that gonna look like? So let's look at a Jack of Clubs first. Absolutely a stunning plant here. And a lot of the differences in some of these Anthuriums, you guys, because I know a lot of people look at them and they're like, well, that looks exactly like whatever you just showed and whatnot. Lots of times it's about the emergent leaf. Like what color does the emergent leaf look like, or what color is it when it comes in? What does it look like when it comes in? That kind of is the big differentiator between the plants. But here is the Dreamweaver, and this is just an absolutely stunning plant. Like you guys, like just thinking about the Jack of Clubs and that crossed made me super excited to see what this is going to look like. And then if you aren't familiar, the Doriaki looks like this. So this is going to potentially be a stunning Anthurium. It is going to have very probably round, squat, heart-shaped leaves with that beautiful veination that you saw on some of the plants we were just looking at that make up this cute little plant baby. So my biggest concern right now is, can I keep this tiny seedling alive? Because I've done seedling plants before, but I've never done an Anthurium seedling. So I'm going to leave it in this moss until I see significant rootage going on. I can see, it looks like it's trying to pop some aerials. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. I might have to do some closer up footage with my iPhone as usual so you guys can see the aerials that are starting on there. So it's obviously a super happy little plant baby. It does have another one of these that was covering the top of it. I did for sure put this in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, but I went ahead and I put that little cap over the top of it, poked a few holes just so it can get some air, just to trap in even more humidity for it. Plus, you guys, if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook at Aloha Plant Life, I discovered mealies in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet out of nowhere over the weekend. And thankfully my parents were here visiting because like I had like full-fledged freak out. I was like, everything's got to get out of the cabinet. I need to clean all the glass down, which I needed to do it anyway. It was filthy, but I need to clean everything down and treat all these plants. Like it would have taken me hours to do by myself. So thankfully my parents were here to help. And it wasn't like every plant was affected. It really was on the top 2 shelves where I was finding them. So I went ahead and just double checked all the plants, treated plants. Everybody got pretty much doused in alcohol. And yeah, I don't know where they came from though, you guys. The only new plants that I put in there are, well, this one like got put in like the day before I discovered that. So it's not like it came off of here or anything. And the only other one that's been in there, put in there that's new is the one from Redland Botanicals, but I double checked, that thing has no pests on it and it was on the bottom shelf. So I have no idea where they came from, you guys. It's like they just spontaneously appeared. It's so bizarre. I have not had a mealy in this house in like well over a year anywhere. And I haven't gotten any new plants other than these Palmstreet ones. And the only one that went in the cabinet, like I said, was that one from Redland Botanicals. And it is pest free, you guys. It was the first one I checked because A, I didn't want that gorgeous plant to have a pest problem. And B, it was the only new one that had gone in there. And it's pest free, I promise you guys. So I have no clue how mealybugs got into my cabinet. I was not happy about it. So I am going to be on super like close inspection mode every other day in that cabinet to make sure more aren't appearing and get rid of them with just a little rubbing alcohol. But yeah, that's part of the reason though that I want to make sure that I keep that little cap on this one, is just in case. I don't want the mealies to come destroy this fragile, cute little seedling here. But super happy to have this. Big thank you to Willow Ivy Botanicals again for including this for me. All right, you guys, well, those are all of the new plants I've gotten and an update on all the plants from the original Palmstreet orders. I really have been enjoying going on and watching those live sales as well, you guys, just because I learn a lot. There's a lot of things like you learn about, oh, well, this plant came from so-and-so who sold it to this person and then they crossbred it with this and that's how this plant came to be. I'm like, this is like an education and a half. Sometimes I just watch the live streams to kind of pick up on some new knowledge. So definitely suggest checking them out. I want to thank Palmstreet again for sponsoring today's video. And don't forget, if you sign up for the app using the link down below, you will get a $5 credit added to your account for signing up. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today. If so, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Aloha!